Good morning or afternoon, depending on where you are on the globe. Greetings and welcome, and thank you for joining me here at Bloom From Within Love. I go by Bloomy, and I really just wanted to create, really briefly, a part two to yesterday's upload on the law of compensation. And the reason why I wanted to make, I guess you could say, it's a part two. It's not so much necessarily directly related to it, but in some way I feel like it is. What you see here before you, the statement says, what you believe about a thing determines the emotions it brings. Okay? Yep, that is actually my quote, Bloomy. And I was inspired with that particular quote because, one of the greats that I follow is Aaron Doughty. He is a law of attraction master. But beyond that, you guys will hear him always say, I am here to help you expand your consciousness, right? If you follow him on YouTube. Very phenomenal young man. I believe he actually lives here in Vegas. But on one of his recent uploads, he was talking about detachment and the reason why we find things so challenging to move on from, whether it be a job, a relationship, a particular endeavor, whatever it is. He mentioned that the reason why it holds that kind of power to be so painful or to be so challenging is because of meanings, labels, and beliefs that we have about that. It creates a subsequent vibration, a subsequent feeling, if you will, right? So I wanted to come on to bring some kind of really basic examples and hopefully say it in a way that, first of all, makes it make sense and applicable, but hopefully to clear up any confusion in terms of, where he was really coming from and where I'm coming from. I don't believe he was saying that we shouldn't care about anything. I don't believe he was saying that we should have no feelings. I don't believe he was saying that we shouldn't hold high value for something or someone. But it goes a little deeper than that. And I want to bring some explanation, examples to hopefully bring the clarity and simplicity to help you all understand, first of all, the law of compensation. But not only that, to understand, oh my gosh, why is this so challenging? Why can't I let this go? Why can I let that person go? Why can I walk away from that job? Why can I leave or change or I'm just using those as an example. It doesn't always have to be about a person, but he was referencing how most commonly it is. And it goes into what we believe. What we believe, the meanings and labels we've attached to a particular scenario. And that always has to do with the subconscious. It always has to do with perhaps some of the things that the programmings that we have running that we've brought in with us. Okay, some we've accumulated, in the here and now, and then some we've brought with us from the genetics, from the bloodline, from the ancestry, and then in some cases simply from other lifetimes, if that resonates with you. But the subconscious is ruling by 90%. Okay, so whatever has been ingrained, if you will, something that you're not realizing, nor are you encouraging yourself to release, you're running off of it, okay? Whether you are fully aware of it or not, you're running off of it. Now, here's an example. I'll use a love example. Because let's say you come from a very strong, deep-rooted religious background. Let's say you come from a very strong, I say deep, but I'm talking about lifetimes, ancestry, bloodline, and perhaps even in this lifetime that you've ran off of programs that told you as it relates to relationships, as it relates to love, right? That there is a just right person for you. And that's the person that you need to wait for. And you're supposed to go to hell and high water for them. And if you're a woman, you're supposed to just surrender and submit and obey and do what he say, no matter what, and trust that God is going to provide, kind of stuff, right? That you're supposed to have the man in high regard, and that there can only be one leader because two would be dysfunction and abnormality, right? I'm just throwing this out there. Hopefully this is not triggering and offending, but I have to share my own truth and my own experience and my own resonance. And here's why I'm saying that, because here's what happens. You've attached a level of importance. You've attached a level of priority. You've attached that this one particular individual is your make or break. This one particular individual is the one that's that you're supposed to be with forever and ever, amen. Okay? This one particular individual is your only happily ever after in terms of a relationship. And I'm only using this because it's a very common situation, and it's common in a sense that people have the most challenges, in a sense of knowing when to hold them and when to fold them, knowing when to let go, knowing when to keep going, or how it has affected you no matter what you decide. So if you believe that this one person is the one, it is going to be very challenging and very, 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 very painful, because you've attached and externalized. You've attached a meaning. You've attached a label. You've given it a belief of a priority, if you will. And when that goes kaput, when that's not operating in the way you thought, if there's a driving force behind you and your beliefs that says you have to stick with this, you have to, then there will be a battle to release it. And also, not only that, it's creating an energy and a frequency. So now I Am Manifest talks about this, how when we're in the energy of lack and externalizing in relationships, it's going to destruct any potential interaction, because we're creating a vibration that you are, the other person is your answer. So you're striving and you're trying so hard, you're striving. And so there's a frequency and energy of desperation. There's a frequency and energy externalizing, which law in the universe and the way energy and frequencies and vibrations work is going to create a polarization, which is why typically when we're in those energies, you always have a runner and a chaser, because somebody is in a desperate energy, which is repelling the other person. So one of the keys is shifting what we believe about a thing, the labels, the meanings, the attachments to a thing, so that we can stay in a state of, first of all, our own wholeness, and a state of neutrality. Not that you don't care, but realizing that there is no one individual. I am my wholeness. I am my twin flame even. We have many soulmates, many contracts that we have set up, but we have the sovereignty to determine how we want to navigate that. Usually we've set them up for things that we don't even get in this lifetime. We've set them up to perpetuate lessons in a sense of whether it's learning how to love yourself or learning how to love and treat other people. But nonetheless, we are in our own wholeness regardless. And that one interaction with that one individual is not the end all be all to things. No matter how intense the connection is, no matter how in the stars it is written. And the reason why that is because free will, we are sovereign beings, and free will always be at play. And everyone will not go on the endeavor to enlightenment. Some people will opt, and listen, this is not about a judgment, this is an observation. Some people will opt in their right to choose as a valid choice to continue on the path of destruction. And what they'll do is in their next, they'll complete the lifetime cycle. The next carnation for them, they will be repeating and picking up those, basically where they left off. And perhaps in that particular carnation, then they're able to maybe make different choices and actions. But we don't have the right, nor is it beneficial for us to externalize and focus on the choices, the free will choices that others want to make. And I know I've kind of gotten off on a tangent here, but we're talking about what you believe about a thing. It's going to determine the emotions it brings. When you release this, I'm not saying that it's snap, crackle, and pop, but it really can be. Once we accept that, going back within, loving the self, setting these intentions, and releasing attachments. However long that takes, it's not about, this should happen in 2 weeks. It's however long it takes for you to process that. However long it takes for you to integrate your own wholeness. However long it takes. But once we do this and continually set intentions are very powerful. And any energy we're holding within the body, also working with that to release the energy on a body level, mind-body level, right? As we continue to do this, we will start to see and feel things become a lot easier. And I'm not saying we will never hurt again. I'm not saying we will never feel again. I'm not even saying that that's something that is implied. Okay, the human experience is for a journey and all of its variants. But when we find ourselves in a perpetual state of stuckness and a perpetual state of being butthurt behind something externalized, that's when it's time to go in and say, okay, maybe I'm putting a little bit too much weight and importance on a relationship. Maybe I'm putting a little bit too much weight and importance on a particular person, because maybe it's not meant to go that far. Maybe it's meant to just experience in the time and get what you get out of that in a loving way. And when it's no longer suitable, when it's no longer working, when you feel like you've grabbed your wisdom, or that other individual may even opt out, the other individual may decide that it's not working for them because maybe the dynamics changed. Maybe you grew and they didn't. Maybe they grew and you didn't. And sometimes that can create some shiftings, and everyone has a right to decide for themselves. So when we release that, we won't feel like that deep heartache where we feel like our world is over. Have you ever been in love so deep, at least so you thought that's what it was? It's a program and belief that you have about it. That's why I'm talking about religious factors, ancestral things where we romanticize people, Disney, media, and it's like, okay, and let's say, for an example, you had a past life experience with someone. It doesn't take away that maybe once upon a time in another dimension, that maybe there was a deep love and this endless love and this, unstoppable love. But that was that lifetime. The individual may have carnated and they may be stuck in their shadow. And if their shadow is ruling them, then chances are that they are not even seeing or believing in a way in which you are. And they're not in a place to even be able to rightly address or shift in energy in terms of how they're conducting, in terms of the choices that they're making. And if that's the case, my dears, there's really nothing you can do about that except this. Shift your own energy. Release the attachment. Release what you believe about it. Feel your feelings, forgive whatever has to happen to process and calibrate energy. But trying to perpetuate and project expectations and outcomes is going to create a certain emotion. What you believe about a thing determines the emotions it brings. So when they start not acting right, okay, not loving you the way you thought they would, and not saying what you thought they would say, not being what you thought they would be, not deciding what you thought they would decide, you go into overdrive, right? Thinking that you can change the outcome using external things. Oh, if I do this for them, then they will. If I act more this, then they will. If I this, then they're weak. No, it don't work like that. In some cases, what will happen as you shift your energy and release the attachment, release the importance, love on yourself, stay in your energy, sometimes it's a trigger and a perpetuation for them in some cases when they realize that, okay, if I want to keep this connection, things will have to change because they're not going to continue on this path this way. So some of them will. But the whole premise here is to let go of the idea that they will. Even the expectation, even the desire to some extent. Realizing that we will be okay. And then it's a deep belief that sometimes we have that says we won't be okay. That says this is going to destroy us. That says, this is my last go around. That says, all these vibrations and things and stories we've told ourselves over and over and over. And if you're anything like me, if you came from a strong religious background, for years, you tried it that way. And you just kept doing it over and over again. But it created this energy of lack and this energy of self-degradation, this energy of self-depreciation, because it was putting others on a pedestal. It was putting them in higher regard. It was putting them as more important than me. It was creating this energy of my job is to please, my job is to please, my job is to please. And unfortunately, when we're operating from that, we're not giving room for that equal give and take. We're not giving room for ourselves to be equally valued. We're giving an energy of I'm a slave. I am your geisha. You matter more than me. And I'm not saying this in a judgy way because this has been my life story. This has been my own personal journeying of trying to shift out of these energies. Because you have to start looking at, why are you constantly co-creating things? Sometimes we're stuck in a trauma zone. And so we're reliving things and we're recreating it because we're trying to remedy. And then in other cases, it's because we believe that this is how it's supposed to be. We were trained that way. We were conditioned that way. This is a program that we have been running on. And so once we start practicing releasing these things is when we're going to start seeing a shift in how we're dealing with day-to-day life, how we're dealing with our connections. We don't feel like, oh my God, I'm scared to get connected to anybody because if it doesn't work, then I got to go through all of this hell again, Even releasing that belief, because believing that we are strong enough and very much capable to, experience relationships coming and going. The whole idea that people must be in our lives forever is probably creating the resistance in the first place. It's probably the root of what's creating the pain, the sorrow, the grief, because there's an attachment that if I know you now, I'm supposed to know you forever in the 3D. If I'm connected with you now, it should be forever in the 3D. But maybe it will, maybe it won't. And both are okay. I Am Manifest talks about being so in the now. Because anytime we start digressing too much to the past or to the future, it's going to create a cycle of pleasure and pain. It's going to create some levels of resistance. Being so in the now, being able to enjoy yourself and your journey in the moment without the incessant need to say, this must be forever. You must love me and do this forever. And there's nothing wrong with tradition. There's nothing wrong with, if that's the path you want to go. But it's about the allowance of things, allowing it versus trying to force it. And if something is not working, we all have the free will and right to say, if you feel like it's not giving you the energy or frequencies or the exchanges at some point, you do have a right to say, well, either I want to release the expectation I have on this dynamic and shift and seek and do and receive in other ways, or I feel like this is no longer serving in my most high vibrational good. So I think it's time to lovingly let it go. Hear what I said. I said lovingly let it go. I didn't say begrudgingly. And we are only responsible for our own thoughts and feelings and actions. Because in some cases, no matter how lovingly you do a thing, if an individual is not in a vibrational place to process and understand things in a healthy way, if they're stuck in their shadow, if they're stuck in victimhood and martyrism and all these things and in blame and, all that kind of stuff, then they're not going to see it anyway. You can put sugar syrup, cupcakes, strawberries, chocolate, on top of your presentation, and it wouldn't matter, okay? So getting to that place of being okay with all of that will also help us stay in our resonance, the emotional set points that we want to live in, okay? So another example before I go, I want to add that let's say somebody's cheating on you. Somebody cheated, they lied, they took advantage, they're not giving to you properly, they're being deceptive. Let's just use that as an example, right? It hurts. Now listen, this is going to trip you out. I'm not saying it's okay for them to do any of this if they're not being on the up and up, right? Law and compensation will deal with them anyway, okay? Because that's just the way of the universe. What I am saying here is what we believe about it that makes it hurt so damn bad. We internalize and say, in our subconscious, they're lying and cheating to me because I'm not good enough. I wasn't pretty enough. I wasn't smart enough. I wasn't witty enough. I wasn't wealthy enough. I didn't have enough money. I didn't have enough clout. I was the wrong color. I was the wrong weight. I was the wrong height. I was the wrong nationality. I come from the wrong background. See how we're internalizing it all and attaching meanings and labels to it? Someone else's actions, their decisions to be unfaithful, their decisions to play games and lie and cheat, their decisions to take advantage of maybe your kindness or your goodness or your love. Our belief systems start internalizing as if it is us. I did something. So it hurts. We get angry. It hurts. Sometimes it's our belief, then we'll start thinking that everybody's evil and wicked. That's what they all do. So it hurts because of the meaning we attach to it. So join me on this path with releasing all of these things. Because what we believe about a thing determines the emotions that it brings. If someone lies to us and cheats on us and takes advantage of us or attempts to do any of that, it's them. It's what's going on in their energy, the programs that they are running. This is not about trying to find a place to blame. It's us owning our energy and allowing other people's energy and choices to be theirs. So in other words, setting the intention to fall in love with ourselves, accept our divinity, our beauty, our uniqueness, our enoughness. If someone else deems you not enough, that is their program, okay? That's their program. That is their belief system that they are running off of. Whether they are facing that or not, acknowledging it or not, or saying it or not, if they have a default that says white people are better or superior or prettier, that's their program. And you can put I'm using that as an example, but you can reverse it. You can say black people. You can say anything. When someone has determined a belief about a thing, that is the program that they're running off of, and they're going to make choices, decisions, and actions from a subconscious place, whether they know this or not, based on what they're running off of. They may like you. They may enjoy you. Okay? They may even love things about you. But if they have another program that they're running, and until they face that they have programs that are dictating and determining their actions, decisions, and choices, then they will continue on the same cycle of degrading or depreciating or devaluing something that looks different than what their belief system is telling them. Okay, on a default. And I know that was kind of a little bit much, but hopefully that helps you all understand some of the dynamics you feel like you're dealing with, whether it be in business, an employer. Like sometimes, people are running off of programs, just like we are, until we start going within and shifting programs. But people are going to choose, and behave based on their programs, period. Based on what they believe. They can talk a good game to you. They can say all the right stuff. But the talking and the saying is not what determines what's really deeply rooted in a person. It is their continual, consistent actions, choices, and decisions that tells you the story. So with that being said, didn't plan to talk this long, but join me on the quest of just simply releasing and letting go of what we believe about things that on the external to us that has created this perpetual state of unhealthy attachments, addictions, and pain. Being open to just explore and let things go as they go, come as they come, and feel our feelings, knowing that we're going to be okay. We are okay. And we are creating in nothing. And no one is ever the final answer and the final go around to our happiness and success in this life or any life. I send you guys love and light. What you believe about a thing determines the emotions that it brings. Namaste.